Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name is Michelle, and here on my channel, normally I post budgeting related content every single week. However, this video is a little bit different, if you can tell by the title and my more recent video. I am in fact pregnant with baby number 3. So this baby was not exactly planned, but not exactly an accident. So we did technically try, but it was one time and it was a pretty spontaneous, I have a super positive ovulation test. You want to just kind of see what happens, and yeah, it worked. So I am pregnant. I honestly didn't think that I would be, because if you saw any of my pregnancy updates or anything from my last pregnancy, when I first started my YouTube channel, I did struggle with secondary infertility, and it took me almost 2 years to get pregnant with him and 3 rounds of Clomid. So I wasn't sure if it was going to work. And not gonna lie, I was super surprised, in shock pretty much. So I kind of had a feeling that I was pregnant just because my ovulation test was so positive. But at the same time, I have thought I was pregnant literally so many times and I wasn't. But I decided I was gonna do, because I was feeling symptoms, so I decided I was just gonna write in my phone all of the symptoms I was feeling from 1 DPO all the way to the day of my missed period, which is actually today. So today I'm 14 DPO, so today is technically the day of my missed period. However, according to my app, I turn over to a new week on Wednesday, which would have been yesterday. So I'm not sure exactly. I'm pretty sure my missed period is today though. So I could have been off on my ovulation tracking just a little bit. But since losing, if you don't know, I recently lost 50 pounds. Since losing the weight, I can pretty much pinpoint when I'm going to ovulate. I don't really have any symptoms or anything. It's not the fact that it's super regular. It's just I get very specific ovulation cramping a couple of days, if not a day or two before I ovulate. So when I get the cramping, I can take a test and it's usually positive. And then pretty much exactly 14 days later, I start my period. So I do get ovulation cramps now. So that's how I was able to pinpoint exactly when to take an ovulation test. And yeah, I put it in my pregnancy video update, but I'll put it in here too, my ovulation test. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump into my symptoms. So I have it on my phone, so if you see me looking down, that's why. But yes, so on 1 DPO, I noticed that I had some discharge, and this was a huge thing that happened with my second pregnancy. My first pregnancy was 6 years ago now, and honestly, I don't remember it that much. My second one was obviously more recent. He just turned 2 years old. My oldest is 5. My youngest is 2. So yeah, I noticed more discharge with my second son from the time of ovulation, and pretty much lasted from the time of ovulation to my entire pregnancy. I just had a ton of discharge, my TMI. I mean, if you're watching this, it's a pregnancy video, so it's all gonna be TMI. But yeah, my underwear would be gross. So that was something that happened with my second one really bad. This one I noticed it on 1 DPO, but that could have been ovulation related, and I haven't really had too much of that now. The next thing I noticed was I had a couple of sharp twinges in my uterus area every once in a while. I think it happened maybe 2 or 3 times, and it was enough. I mean, I was paying attention to my symptoms because I knew I should, I should be paying attention to them, but I was trying not to think too much of certain things. Oh my god, my foot is falling asleep. But yeah, I noticed in my uterus area a couple sharp twinges. And I also felt extra tired that day, I noted down. And then 2 DPO is when I started noticing a loss of appetite. So in both of my pregnancies, that was my first trimester, I didn't want to eat anything. Nothing sounded good. Everything, just the thought of having food made me want to throw up. I absolutely hated thinking about food, which is weird because I love food. Normally I want to eat food all the time. And then I also noticed I started getting an elevated heart rate. This is also something that happened in both of my pregnancies. My heart rate, my resting heart rate gets super high, starts pounding really fast, and I feel like I can't breathe, and then I might pass out. Yeah, so that started happening on 2 DPO. Sorry, I noticed I am looking down a lot. I'm sorry. 3 DPO, I had a headache. I started feeling nauseous, and I got really forgetful. I started forgetting like everything. Like I just couldn't. I'm a waitress, and I don't know. There was just that day I couldn't remember anything. I'd be like, oh, I would go to a table. I'd come back and be like, I already forgot. And then I also noticed I started getting like mild cramping on and off. It wasn't like a consistent thing. It happened like once or twice. And then I got like a little bit more like irritable. Like I was getting a little bit grumpy. And then on 4 DPO, I noted that I had a little bit more of that mild cramping on and off. I started feeling shortness of breath and like winded. So I don't know if you could tell now, I'm like literally like winded talking. But yeah, I noticed that. Slight nausea, and I felt a little bit dizzy, also really forgetful. I started having increased urination, and I started burping a lot. This is where the burping started. That's actually been like a continuous thing that I'm having. I don't know if that's like, I think it's like hormone related, because I know that is common in pregnancy. I don't really remember it happening too much in my first trimester with my second son, but I remember it being a thing in my 3rd trimester. I got a little bit more of that like discharge, and then more of the elevated heart rate. So 4 DPO, I noticed more symptoms, but I don't know if that's because I was like trying to notice more. But 5 DPO, I had the dizziness again, which honestly the dizziness is the scariest thing for me, because that is my #1 symptom that I had with both pregnancies. That was like almost crippling. I had it, I think, pretty much throughout my entire pregnancy with both of my boys. Oh my gosh, I remember getting so dizzy at work. With my first son, I would get so dizzy. I literally, this is so gross, because it's like I worked at an urgent care, and like we had a bathroom like patients could use, but it was mostly like the employee bathroom, but that doesn't make it any better. I would literally go in the bathroom. I got so dizzy and so hot that I was gonna faint, take off my shirt, so gross, take off my shirt and lay on the ice cold ground, and I would have ice packs on me, because I literally, if I didn't, I would like throw up, faint, I don't know what would happen, but it was just miserable. And that happened so many times I can't even count. With my second son, I don't think it happened that much until like my 3rd trimester, and by that time COVID was happening, and so we had like a door screener, because we had to like screen people before they came in, make sure they were wearing masks, yada yada yada, all that stuff. And I pretty much volunteered to be door screener the entire time, because you could just sit down and like not do anything besides ask people questions. So that's how I got away with that on my second son. But yeah, the dizziness was so bad. I remember asking my midwife like what I could do, and she's like, oh, it's normal. And I'm like, I don't think this is normal. Like there's no way people are this dizzy to the point where they can't function. Like I couldn't even work. I would be on my feet for 20 minutes and then I'd want to faint. Like it was so bad. So that's something I'm really concerned about, especially because I already noticed it so early on. I'm gonna see what I can do about that, but that's not what this video is about. I'm sorry, I'm going off on a rampage. Anyway, what was I on? 5 DPO. So yeah, the burping and the dizziness I noticed. 6 DPO, I had a headache again, and I had like period-like cramping. So I think this cramping, because I wrote period-like cramping, was a little bit more intense. Not like painful, but more than I was having before. And it didn't happen until the PM I wrote down. So like I was fine all day, and then like around the afternoon, evening time is when I noticed like period-like cramping. 7 DPO, I noticed, I put like insomnia ? Because I ended up waking up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I just like could not get myself to fall back to sleep for whatever reason. Like I just like woke up and I'm like, okay, I'm awake. So I just lay there for a while, and I ended up falling back to sleep eventually. What else? I also noticed some more nausea and more mild cramping. 8 DPO, I had more mild cramping. I noticed more nausea, a loss of appetite again. I didn't want to eat anything. Nothing sounded good. I started burping more. I had another headache. And yeah, I'm starting to get like food aversions. Don't want to eat at all. I also, I wrote down, this is funny. I wrote down that when I went into work that day, I got told by 2 people that I looked different that day. And I'm like, oh, I don't know, like, I made a joke. I was like, well, I washed my hair because I wash my hair once a week. And it was on a Friday, which is my Monday. And so my hair was clean. And they're like, yeah, maybe it's like more blonde because I have like the balayage. And I guess it looks blonder when I wash it. I don't know. But I also got new lashes. So if you don't know, I use the Blinkify DIY eyelash extensions. And I've been wearing the Queen and the Classic, but they just came out with a new set called the Duchess. And that's what I'm wearing right now. These are the lashes. That was my first day wearing these lashes, so it could have been the lashes as well. But it's funny because I put like maybe glowing question mark. And I also noticed I had a little bit of heartburn that day. And then 9 DPO, I've been testing pretty much this entire time. I didn't record the test because I convinced myself I was pregnant, but then I was scared to pull out the camera and like just keep recording negative tests because honestly, I don't know what it is, but recording the negative test makes me feel a lot more depressed about the negative test than just getting a negative test. I don't know if anyone else feels that way if you record pregnancy tests as well, but recording the negatives just hits a lot harder than just taking a negative. Like it just is a constant reminder that it's negative. So I stopped pulling out the camera for the negative tests and yeah. So yeah, 9 DPO, I actually stopped tracking my symptoms altogether. I didn't write anything down that day because I was just like, I don't know why I'm being like this. The tests keep coming back negative. I'm gonna stop tracking my symptoms because obviously I'm not pregnant. This is stupid to continue doing this if I know that I'm not pregnant. With my second son, I got my first positive at like 6 or 7 DPO. It was really early, and by 9 DPO I was like, this is stupid. I'm not pregnant. Like why do I keep tracking these symptoms? It's nothing. I'm just gonna start my period because I do actually get nauseous and like I wouldn't say I get really crampy that early on, but I do get nauseous during like PMS. Like that's normal for me. But yeah, I assumed it was just my period was gonna start and it was stupid to keep tracking. But 10 DPO, I went to work and I noticed, where did I go? More nausea and more cramping. So on 10 DPO, my cramping was actually a lot more consistent. Like it felt like my period was literally about to start. Like it just was constant cramping throughout the whole day. And that's actually what made me want to go home, because I was at work when this was happening. It made me want to go home and actually take a pregnancy test. And that is when I got my BFP, my big fat positive test, was on 10 DPO. And I actually woke up that morning with like a vivid dream about work. So like I said, I'm a waitress. So I actually dreamt that I was working graveyard, which we're not even open for graveyard. But I dreamt I was working a graveyard shift and it was just me. And I had like 10 parties back to back. I had no one to help me and I was just like going crazy stressed out. So that was kind of funny. That I had like a stressful work dream and then I woke up and I'm like, oh my god, I have to go to work. Like, oh, what if this actually happens? Like, I don't know. I was freaking out. And then I also had a loss of appetite and I was like gassy. So like I had the burping but also like other things, which isn't normal for me. It was when I was like heavier because I had like digestive issues. But I noticed I had like other gas on that day. TMI. And I was also really emotional. So Roger was gonna make me cry and it was like so stupid. I don't even remember what we were talking about. But I remember he said something and I just like was gonna stop crying. I was gonna start crying and I'm like, you have to stop. Like I'm literally gonna cry right now. And I'm a pretty emotional person, so that's not like super abnormal. I think it was like more ridiculous for me to start crying over that than normal. Next up, 11 DPO. So this is after I already knew I was pregnant. I had more cramping and I noticed that I had like a lot more energy and like just like really happy that day when I went to work. But I did end up getting a headache again and more nausea and more burping. I noted that I had a pounding heart again. And dry mouth. So I felt like extra thirsty. Like my mouth just felt like fuzzy. I couldn't like I just needed water. Just really, I guess, dehydrated. Now for 12 DPO, I noticed I was still nauseous. I started noticing like frequent urination. I had to go pee a few more times than normal. Feeling really cold, like I couldn't get warm, but that could be because we keep our air conditioner on and it's pretty cold in our house. But I noticed like at home, like I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm so cold, like I can't get warm. And then I noticed I started getting a lower back ache and like my neck was really stiff, but that could be just like, I struggle with like neck pain and like a stiff neck and just like back pain in general. And it doesn't help that I sleep in the bed with my 5-year-old and my 2-year-old, and half the time I'm like in a really awkward position, and I wouldn't be surprised if I like mess up my neck that way. I also noticed more cramping, more of that dry mouth, so like I just needed to chug water. Oh, this is another one, and I don't know if this could be hormone related or if it was just a fluke, or if it's because I hurt my back. So on the 4th of July is when I was 11 DPO. So the 4th of July, I was holding my son during the fireworks, my 2-year-old, and I was holding him for like 2 hours because he didn't let me sit down. He didn't want to be put down. So I was just holding him, and I felt like my back was like locking up. So on 12 DPO at work, I had sciatic pain that literally almost took me down. Like it came out of nowhere, and I was walking like, oh my God. And it happened, I think, 3 times. I did get sciatic pain with my 2nd pregnancy, but I feel like it was after I had like a big belly, and that was why. Baby was laying on my nerve or something. But this time, like, I don't know if it was because I maybe hurt my back holding him, or if it could be maybe like hormonal related, because there's no reason. Baby is not big enough to cause me sciatic pain. So I don't know about that. Let me know if you guys have ever experienced sciatic pain like that early on. It might have just been like a fluke. Where am I? Okay, I also started noticing bloating and more dizziness, and I noticed I started getting really tired at like 5 o'clock at night. So I felt pretty energized throughout the day, but at night I started getting like really tired where I wanted to just pass out. I normally do though. I normally get tired at night, obviously, and then want to just pass out and go to bed early. We normally go to bed at like 9:30 anyway. And I was still noticing I was pretty emotional at this day. So next, 13 DPO, I was really emotional again. So every little thing I notice is like making me want to cry. Yeah, just like little stuff. I'll like think about something and I'll just like start tearing up. Oh, and this is the day I finally got my positive digital test. I noticed I had shortness of breath and dizziness, nausea, and I noticed I started like, I don't know if I would necessarily say I'm having more sensitive smell, but I'm getting more sensitive to smells. So like the bad smells, like I started like gagging. Next is 14 DPO, which is today, the day of my missed period. So I have noticed today cramping, nausea, and my lower back is actually aching pretty badly today. So that is all of the symptoms I had from 1 DPO all the way up to 14 DPO. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.